Hi parents, it's Mrs. Gandy, and today I want to share with you some strategies you could use at home to help your child in writing and reading. So the first thing I want to discuss is proper letter and line placement. So here's an example of our writing line. And on the first day of school, we discussed that this is the fence. A lot of times we'll say this is the sky, the grass, and the dirt. And we always want to keep our letters inside the writing line. If it's a tall letter, we want to touch the top and the bottom of the line. So I'm going to write my name. And of course, you're checking to see if your child is writing their name with the capital letter in the beginning. So with my G, it has to touch the top and the bottom, come all the way around, and goes in right at that dotted line. For the lowercase letters, you want to make sure if they're the little letters, you always start under the dotted line. So my A is a circle and a stick, staying inside the fence. My N, another lowercase, straight line down, one bump, making sure my N touches the top of that dotted line and still staying inside the fence. Here's my D, and it has a very tall letter, so I'm going to touch the top and the bottom with my lowercase d. And my Y, one of the special letters that actually can go below the fence. Oops, getting tricky right there. Holding it with one hand. All the way down. So that is what we're looking at for proper line placement. There is a cheat sheet on the packet we sent home. On the front are the letter names and sounds. On the back has how to correctly write each letter. That could be useful. Second thing I want to discuss is how do you give that corrective feedback to your child when they're at home and they need to make corrections. In class, we come around with a highlighter or a pen. We can make it fun. Mine's a Silly Sense, is a smelly marker. And so I'm going to go and model and talk about, your uppercase G, Mrs. Gandy, did not touch the top of the line or the bottom. And you did not come in at the fence. So I went ahead and made that corrective feedback right there. My A touched the top and the bottom, and it is not an uppercase letter. So making my circle and a stick under the dotted line. My N, the leg was way too tall, you can see. And on my D, started out okay, but my tummy was too small. Make sure it takes up the whole space. And the last letter, I made an uppercase Y, and it should be a lowercase y because only the first letter of our name is uppercase. There you go. So what can you do? Your child can erase the pencil and trace over the highlighted or marker part. Very important to stay inside the lines, and if you see any mistakes on homework or assignments, be sure to talk to your child and make sure that they fix it. Okay, another thing I want to discuss, same thing goes for our numbers. So you should be tracing everything that is dotted or traceable in crayon. Here's a student example. So you can see their zeros went way up here. And so all I did was use that marker again and model where it should be, and they should be erasing and tracing. On the ones, sometimes I'll put a line right there to remind them that that was the top of the writing line, top of the fence, and their numbers should not go above, so they should be erasing that. And finally on the twos, same thing, going out of the writing line, and I'm just modeling how to correctly make the twos, and you should be erasing and trying again. Next thing I want to talk about is how to practice letter names at home and sounds. So it's a great idea to make flashcards. I have these at the door on all recesses. I kind of rotate between the letter names, sounds, and sight words. So I'm practicing all day long. That's something you can do too. So I always say letter name, A, sound, A. You can also talk about the uppercase letter and the lowercase letter. Another thing to practice at home are the sight words. Super important. Again, you can make your own flashcards, but Miss Juliana and I had that packet we sent home, and you can cut those flashcards out. The thing about sight words is that you cannot sound the words. You cannot sound them out, and a lot of parents will say, just sound it. Well, if I sounded this word, it would say te-he-e, and of course, that does not work. Students must memorize the sight words, and how we do that in class is a method called read, spell, read. So I would use my finger and swipe and say read, and they say the, spell, T-H-E, read, the. And practice your sight words before bedtime. That's a great way to do it. Another thing that will be coming up soon are words after we start learning all of the letter names and sounds. We slowly start to put them together to make a word. We blend the sounds together to read. So these are words called CVC words. They're a consonant, a vowel, and a consonant. And so you can see that arrow right there we use to blend, and that's where I'll say blend, to blend the sounds. So when you get to a CVC word, you're going to say sound, and they will say t, ap, blend, tap. It's important to really emphasize the middle sound and make that a little bit longer so the students can hear it. Also, in the beginning, some students have difficulty putting all the letters to the sounds together. They might say t, ap, cat, or pat, something backwards. So sometimes the sing-songy voice helps. T, so I'm going to put it together more like t, tap, tap. That might help. So again, we're going to sound it and blend. Last thing I want to discuss is there's a lot of terminology that we use in kindergarten, and one of them is the decodable. So this is the decodable. It means we can just decode the words. We can sound them out, and there's sight words that we can read. Your child should be reading this out loud until they're fluent. Another buzzword, fluent, means they can read it with ease without any help. And normally this takes several attempts. One time is never good enough. I practice reading and rereading. When we're in class, we're going to read it 3 times. So when you are practicing at home, your decodable, we want to see your child tracking. So that means we're touching each word as we read to keep our place. So we're going to read the title. So if it's a sight word, I'm saying read. And if it's a CVC word, I'm going to say sound. Read. We like to sound t, ap, tap. And then I can say blend there as well. So then you're going to read it fluently. We like to tap. Try another one. Down here, finger on there, get ready to track. Ready, read. I like to sound t, ap, tap, the, and that said piano. And then we always talk about the end punctuation too. There's our period. Hope this video was helpful. There's Baby Bobby saying see you later.